Hello, welcome to our next face to face. And I have with me our guest, Professor M.M.Ansari, who has served as Central Information Commissioner and was a member of UJC. Professor Ansari has also served as consultant to the Planning Commission of India. He is an economist and education specialist. Today, I'm going to discuss with him on the amendments made to the Right to Information RTI Act through the Digital Personal Data Protection Act and its impact on journalists and others. Welcome, sir, to our next episode of Expert Insight. Pleasure to have
Thank
you
you.
in our show. First of all, I would like to know, tell us in brief about the delegation in which you were also part of the meeting with Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, and what was their assurance regarding RTI Act, and it is also learned that you all have requested for a rollback. So, what assurance you have received from him, and was there any kind of demand made by the delegation to Rahul Gandhi, and what was his response?
Well, it was a very positive and encouraging meeting with uh, LOP, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, and Priyanka Gandhi was also present. And the, as you mentioned in your intro, a concerned group of RTI activists as well as those who are concerned with transparency, accountability, and good governance, and which also includes reducing corruption in our society and economy. We express our concerns about DP, which is an act for data protection for promoting privacy in data protection. So we all agree that it has to be uh, protected. I mean, the personal data need to be protected. But what is important is that the DPEP totally uh, contradicts the whole approach of RTI Act as regards the corruption. Because as you know, under section 44.3 of the DPEP, it asks for dropping of section 81J of the RTI Act, which talks about disclosure of personal information. So under RTI Act, uh, under section 81J, personal information is totally protected. I mean, it need not be disclosed unless there is a public interest, and that is very important aspect. So only when uh, one sees that an individual working for the government at whatsoever level has acted in a way that encourages corruption, or he is involved in any corrupt practices, or he or she has done anything which violates the human rights of the individual. In those cases, the personal information could be revealed, could be disclosed. So, in the last 20 years of implementation of the RTI Act, what we have seen that it has been a very important provision in the RTI Act, while it protects the personal data, but at the same time, wherever the individuals have involved in any corrupt practices, the commission, Central Information Commission, has ordered for disclosure of information. I will quickly take certain examples. The personal data may be your address, your bank details, and the certificates or the benefits that one receives from the government, be it food grains or or reservation certificate, I mean the caste certificate, etc., and also the issuance of school and college degrees. So what we have seen is there are people who have manipulated and got the fake school degrees or the certificate and taken admissions in higher classes, and those on inspection they have lost the job. You may recall on the basis of the fake degree, one of the minister in Delhi government, one Mr. Tomar, he had to lose his job. He was a minister here. Likewise, we have seen that the people have been using their identity and taking advantage of the various services provided by the government, be it LPG, or even at times people are taking advantage of the reservation policy, producing the fake caste certificate, etc. So, in those cases, or if somebody is absconding or hiding, and the government for various purposes is looking for it, to take government election. So those identities are now disclosed. So what we have argued is
Yeah.
that the Section 81J of the RTI Act should not be deleted, should not be made totally irrelevant. And incidentally, what is being done is that the government is not directly amending the RTI Act. It is affecting, bringing this kind of modifications and amendment through the DP. So this we try to impress upon LOP, that what is being done in DPEP is not proper, because the legacy of the UPA is affected. At the same time, the whole purpose of the RTI Act was to ensure free flow of information so that the people can take informed decision. At the same time, the corruption in the government could be reduced. So you asked that what was his response.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was very much concerned about it, and he uh, uh, gave a very positive response, and he said that he will take up the matter further. He also said that he is going to write to the Prime Minister about this. Earlier, one of his colleagues, Jairam Ramesh, has already written a letter about this to the IT Minister about this. And he also said that he will also speak to the alliance parties, which are allies of the India, and he will also impress upon them that uh, the amendment in the DPEP, which is impacting Section 81J of the RTI Act, will impact, the corruption. And we also discussed, or even now, even after implementation of the act for the last 20 years, the corruption remains unabated. And I also informed him that the mandatory disclosures are not being done, because most of the public authorities and the public servants, they are not concerned about ensuring transparency, and therefore the international agencies like Transparency International, they have found that India remains one of the most corrupt country, and at the same time it is not transparent as it should be. And we also mentioned that in 2008, the RTI Act of India was compared and contrasted with the RTI Acts of the other countries also. And our act was considered to be the second best. But what has been happening is that the present government has been diluting this act. And the first it was done that the in 2018 and 19, uh, the RTI Act was, the commission was downgraded, and at the same time, the infrastructure facilities are not provided as much as it should be. The commissioners are not properly appointed, and therefore, people are filing lakhs of RTI applications, and they are not being disposed. So, what is happening is sometimes the information is contemporaneous. It requires to be immediately provided so that the action could be taken. Otherwise, sometimes the information becomes obsolete, because people do ask for certain information which could be immediately utilized, used for decision making, but that is not happening. So we raised all these kinds of issues, and he gave a very positive response, and he said that he will not only write to the Prime Minister but also speak to the alliance parties, and they will take up the matter, and they will see to it that this amendment is for the time being dropped, so that the transparency in the functioning of the government is assured.
So I'm also particularly concerned about how dangerous is this amendment for journalists, and with this amendment, will the very purpose of RTI Act is likely to go down in vain?
Oh, well, this is a very important issue that you have raised. Now, what happens is,
Yeah.
as I mentioned to you, that as per the RTI Act, uh, the information is protected unless and until, of course, it affects, the someone's human rights or it is related to corruption. But in case of journalists, it is very important that if you are writing something about some offices, some officials, and you are making mention of their names or using the organization name, in that case, the DPEP requires that the data fiduciary, it makes use of the term data fiduciary, that is, that you have to obtain the concurrence of the person who is being named in your reporting, only then he will allow you to publish. And if you do not take permission, then the matter will go to the Data Protection Board, a board that will be constituted by the government, and it will act as per the instruction of the government, in which case they will levying you a huge penalty on this. So now the journalist will not be able to report on, say, for example, earlier it was reported that only 1 liter of milk was being distributed to say hundreds of students, children under the midday meal program. Or at some places, they were just served salt and roti to children, and it was reported. Now those kind of reporting. I mean, the moment you are able to find out somewhere some corrupt practices taking place or some illegality, and you report the matter, you will be caught, because you'll have to seek the concurrence and the permission of the person that you are going to write about it, and he will definitely not give you
Indeed.
any permission to write about it. And if you somehow or other dare to write, it will go to the Data Protection Board, and the board may heavily penalize you to the extent of 250 crores. Now, I don't know how many journalists have this much
Is
of
it
worth to
250
pay to
crore?
the
Not
government.
ridiculous
Well,
amount
it,
for a
it is
journalist.
very it is very ridiculous, and that was also pointed out by my colleagues.
Yeah. Uh, uh, Sir, I would also like to know how do you think this amendment will affect transparency and accountability in governance? Because after all, the idea of RTI was to bring transparency and accountability in the government, in the governance.
You are very right. RTI Act is all about promoting free flow of information with a view to improving transparency and also curtailing corruption. What is happening is, with the DPEP, one has to obtain concurrence of the person and the organization about whom it is being repeated. Now, no one will give you the concurrence uh, to report about the matter where some corruption has taken place. Say, for example, recently the government has waived over 16 lakhs of crores of rupees to some industries, some businessmen, and these people. Now, you would like to know who are the beneficiaries? Because this is a governmental action, this is a government money, taxpayers' money. Now, you may not be provided. Now, if you happen to know by some other sources and you report about it, you will be heavily penalized. Now, so the entire uh, journalistic community will be very much scared, and it will be barred from reporting on any such matters. There are issues relating to fake voters. You know, recently we came to know that at one residence, uh, 50, 60 people are shown to be the voters. Now, one would like to know that how come at one residential place so many people have become the voters, and who are they? You would like to know because they have voted, they have affected the vote. Now, you will not be given any information about it. Now, if you, through some other mechanism, try to know and report about it, the matter may go to the data uh, board, and that is a government body, and the board may penalize you for violating the provisions of the RTI Act for the DP EP Act. So we find that it is going to affect you very heavily. We have seen that a large number of people are beneficiaries of the LPG or the food grains or many other benefits are in the because there are almost in every area the government has created some beneficiary class like the women getting some money, widow getting some old age pension and freebies, what we call. Now, you would like to expose, you'd like to know about why someone is provided this benefit, why somebody is not given, what is the criteria and all that. You will not be given because it will be treated as personal information. Again, I would repeat that in case you happen to know it through some ways and you write very boldly, as many media persons they do it, they will be penalized. Say, for example, you saw some reporters reported that under midday meals program, salt and roti was served. It was very embarrassing that there seems to be leakages. Why children are not getting what they are supposed to be getting? And it is reported. If it is reported, then the journalists will be very much discouraged, and we see that you will not have a proper objective reporting. At the same time, we already see that most of the organizations they have not been disclosing much of the information which they should voluntarily be disclosing, because the transparency audit which is in progress, it shows that over a period of time not many organizations are coming forward, and for which it is the individuals who are managing. So individuals being the very key person for running the organization, for the decision making, and what they do for the organization, but at the same time in the process they also take certain benefits advantages in some way, and this is how the corruption takes place. I know, and our country continues to be rated globally as one of the most corrupt and the least governed country. And if you want to improve upon it, if you want to improve the productivity and performance of the organizations, we need to have a greater transparency. And the DP section, section 44.3 totally bars section 81J of the RTI Act, and therefore it becomes ineffective. And as I mentioned to you, the media will not be able to do what it's supposed to do, because the data fiduciary concept requires you to take permission whenever you are reporting about organizations, about the persons. So that way it becomes very important. I may also quickly mention that there are many activities where the government and the governmental organizations they take inputs, say for example from on the legal matters, some legal advices, or some of the manufacturing and R&D organizations they take inputs from the technical experts, technical reports. They are not put in public domain. They are considered to be commercial, and therefore they are considered also a fiduciary information which is to be protected. Now, there are many cases after certain time it has to be put in public domain to know whether a proper advice was received, whether you have to know whether or not the quality uh, technical input was received and it was acted upon. So, how are you going to be competitive in the global market unless and until we work transparently, unless and until our officials in different capacities they take action very fairly, very objectively, and they are accounted for. That is what important, and this is how it is going to affect transparency and accountability in the government.
Okay. Finally, sir, how do you think RTI Act has impacted corruption in India, and how the proposed amendment may influence this?
Well, it has been very useful instrument. in promoting transparency in the government, and many people have benefited in two ways. One is we many the people do get information on the basis of which they uh, can take suitable action about what they do, what they not do, and at the same time we still find that there is still much scope for accessing for ensuring transparency in the economy. Now nowadays I must say that everyone needs information, without which one cannot function. Say, for example, a farmer needs information about the new techniques, new seeds, for harvesting, etc. Women, they have all kinds of rights, and they need to know about the various policies and schemes for their empowerment, and they would like to act on. And there may be there are issues relating to the domestic violence, and also now the students and the teachers and even the entrepreneurs, they need huge range of information from the government and the governmental office. Now sometimes the information is very mixed. The institutional policy making and also certain individuals are involved, their action is very important. So we see that there is a rampant corruption, whether it is judiciary, whether it is bureaucracy. Only last week, I'm just taking an example. A senior IAS officer was suspended. I don't want to mention details. Recently, judiciary, a senior judge was also caught in. So what we see is that there is a rampant corruption. At the same time, we see, as I mentioned to you before, the a huge amount of waivers of some rich people, industrialists, and the businessmen, and the people who are giving money to the various political parties. It is very well known, probably it is said that one who pays calls for the tune. Those who are paying to the government or to the political parties, definitely they are getting subject. So what is going to happen is that in the last 2 decades of implementation of the RTI, we have seen lots of things happening, and the people have appreciated a great deal about the implementation of the RTI Act. And the leakages to some extent has also curtailed in certain areas. But in certain other areas, what we see is that the corruption has been on rise, and there is very difficult now really to know about it. So I can also take a very quick example of many of the cases investigated by the CBI and the ED. And what we have seen very recently, that the prosecution reached one of the lowest. Now, at certain level, you would like to know why. What was the investigation report? I myself was responsible for looking into, the RTI applications of the CBI. CBI was under the purview of the RTI Act. Later on, it was taken out. So what we saw was that many of the officials who were investigating, they became part of, they connived with the alleged culprits, and they did not do what they should be doing. And when the closure report was filed, and there after it was disclosed under the RTI Act, it was found that the investigation was not carried out very fairly, objectively. So what I'm saying is that while it has contributed a great deal in promoting transparency to some extent. At the same time, also it has been helpful in redressal of grievances. Though it is not subjective, but at the same time, we see that as we grow, we need greater transparency. And our own assessment, globally, is that we are not as much transparent as we should be as compared to the other countries with which we are going to compete in the global market.
Okay, sir. On that note, let us hope that the RTI Act is not diluted and it continues to serve the purpose for which it was enacted. Thanks, sir, for sharing your perspective. We'll be back next week with another expert. Thanks for watching. Take good care of yourself.